terrifying, a shocking reversal. During a solemn banquet at the Xuanwu Count's mansion, a loud commotion suddenly erupted outside, shaking the atmosphere inside the grand hall. Though the sound was undeniably clear, prominent figures like Nan Vo Qi and Zhang Sun pretended as if they heard nothing, maintaining an air of calm indifference. The Count was about to rise to investigate, but his wife quickly tugged at his sleeve, warning him with just a look. This could be a trap. No words were needed. Their mutual understanding through eye contact said it all. Reluctantly, the Count sat back down, feigning composure as he sipped his wine, though unease roiled inside him. Someone had to step up first, but no one dared. Even Tham Lang began to grow anxious. If this continued, would he have to step forward himself? Suddenly, Kim Mok Thong, Tham Lang's chubby brother-in-law, innocently remarked that someone seemed to be calling Tham Lang's name outside. That one comment earned him 3 death glares from his parents and sister. He immediately shrank back, as if wanting to bury his head into his pants. Realizing they could no longer ignore the disturbance, City Lord Liu Vu Nam ordered the guards to investigate. Moments later, 2 soldiers returned in haste, reporting that over 1,000 villagers had surrounded the Count's estate. The mob was led by Tong Yi, the militia leader of Maple Leaf Village, who claimed that his son had been killed by Tham Lang and was now demanding justice. This revelation caused the Count and his wife's faces to turn pale. A crowd of that size wasn't a mere protest, it was a political setup. Their true aim was not only to eliminate Tham Lang, but to drag the entire Count's household into ruin. Furious, City Lord Liu Wo Nam demanded to know who dared such audacity and whether this was an act of rebellion. The soldier explained that Tong Yi had brought his son's corpse, claiming the boy was killed by Tham Lang with a single kick. Now he demanded that the Count hand over Tham Lang to answer for it. The Count was already aware of the situation. Tong Yi had once abandoned his elder son, Tong Sung, in a ravine, leaving him to die. It was Tham Lang's dear friend, Big Fool, who rescued him. Instead of gratitude, Tong Sung turned on his rescuer. Enraged, Tham Lang had kicked him, not fatally, but hard enough to be memorable. To prevent escalation, the Count had sent money as compensation. Tong Yi even shed tears of gratitude and had shown no intention to press charges. But now, leading 1,000 villagers to besiege the Count's residence, clearly someone powerful was orchestrating events from behind the scenes. City Lord Liu Wo Nam suggested allowing Tong Yi inside to present his case publicly. The Count knew he was at a crossroads, either sacrifice Tham Lang to protect his house's reputation or stand by him and risk it all. One look from his wife was all he needed. Her eyes burned with conviction. "If you dare abandon Lang, I will never forgive you." He replied with a gentle, determined gaze. "I will never give him up." They didn't need words. They were true soulmates. Then the door opened. Tong Yi and his wife carried in their son's corpse. The hall fell into eerie silence. Tong's wife was in a pitiful state, disheveled, reeking of urine, with swollen eyes. Her appearance alone testified to the anguish she had suffered. As they entered, Tong Yi immediately knelt and pointed at Tham Lang, shouting, "You murderer! Return my son's life!" The Count remained expressionless. City Lord Liu Wo Nam, serving as the moderator, slammed the table and barked, "Do you know where you are? How dare you make such a scene?" Tong Yi continued kowtowing, blood staining the floor as he pleaded for justice from the lords present. He began recounting how Tham Lang, once an outcast from Maple Leaf Village, harbored grudges against his son from youth. After marrying into nobility, he returned in arrogance and stormed into his home, where he kicked his son fatally in the groin. By the time Tong Yi got his son to the city for treatment, it was too late. To prove his point, Tong Yi stripped the boy's body, revealing bruises and injuries, especially in the groin area, which had swollen grotesquely. The sight made everyone shudder. City Lord Liu Wo Nam asked if there were witnesses. Tong Yi produced 4 villagers, all young militia, who claimed to have seen Shen Lang enter the house and heard sounds of violence. Tong's wife also confirmed she saw Shen Lang strike her son. Still seated, Shen Lang calmly replied, "Yes, I entered their home, but only to deliver silver to Big Fool's mother. I never laid a hand on anyone." His words, composed and measured, cut through the drama like a blade. Kim Mok Land then asked, "If your son died that night, why did you wait so long?" Tong Yi claimed that someone, posing as the Count's aide, had bribed him with gold and threatened to kill his entire family if he spoke. This sudden twist cast doubt on the Count's honor and hinted at a deeper scheme. Turning to Dien Hoanh, the Count coldly asked, "Why are you here?" Dien Hoanh replied that Tong Yi was under his command, and as his superior, he had a responsibility to help his subordinates seek justice. Tensions rose further as the crowd outside chanted, "A life for a life," louder and louder, their fury echoing through the estate. Just when it seemed Shen Lang would be taken away, the unexpected happened. Tong's wife suddenly knelt, weeping hysterically. With blood trickling from her forehead, she cried out, "It wasn't Shen Lang! My husband, Tong Yi, beat my son in a fit of rage! My son's injuries weren't life-threatening at first, he was recovering. But after Lord Dien Hoanh visited, my son mysteriously died." She went on, "Dien Hoanh forced me to falsely accuse Shen Lang. He said if I didn't, he'd slaughter my whole family. Please, sirs, give me justice. A murderer must pay in blood." Her confession struck like lightning. The entire hall froze. The real villain had been revealed, not Shen Lang, but Dien Hoanh, who had manipulated everything from the shadows.
The tragedy of Dien Hoang's household, a sight to behold. Tongxi's shocking accusation froze the entire grand hall. All eyes turned toward her. No one could believe their ears. Wasn't tonight's plan to take down Shen Lang? How had the situation flipped so dramatically? The quickest to react was Dien Hoang. Every hair on his body stood up, as if he had sensed a predator nearby. His instincts screamed danger. He looked towards Shen Lang, someone who had previously cornered him multiple times. Sure enough, Shen Lang was still smiling, calm and innocent, like a harmless white rabbit. But that very demeanor made him even more terrifying. Dien Hoang desperately wanted to flee, but his intuition told him it was too late. Shen Lang had locked eyes on him like a wolf staring at its prey. Once that kind of predator bites, it never lets go. At that moment, high-ranking figures like Tong Sung and Nong Wo Ki finally turned their attention toward Shen Lang. Even City Lord Liu Wo Nam had to drink a glass of water to steady himself before asking Tongxi if she was simply raving in grief. Tongxi was stunned by the turn of events. He looked at the woman he had shared a bed with for over a decade, his wife, and couldn't comprehend her betrayal. With trembling voice but blazing hatred in her eyes, Tongxi declared that it was her husband who kicked their son in the groin after discovering the boy had secretly watched her bathe. Shen Lang had indeed visited their home, but only to give her money, out of concern that Big Fool, Dien Ok, his friend, wasn't getting enough to eat. Her testimony stunned the audience. Even Lady Muklan and the Countess blushed. Some men in the room quietly recalled their own mischievous boyhood days. Tongxi felt as though his head would explode. Never did he expect his wife to turn on him like this, especially in front of everyone. He shouted at her, calling her crazy, a traitor, but his rage only deepened the crowd's suspicion of his guilt. Dien Hoang stepped in, accusing Tongxi of being bribed or coerced by Shen Lang. But Shen Lang remained silent, his innocent expression unchanged, like he had nothing to do with any of this. Then Tongxi continued her story. She said her son had indeed been gravely injured, but he was not in danger of dying. The doctors only said he would lose his ability to reproduce. She had stayed by his side day and night. Then, suddenly, the day before, she was forced to return home, and by noon that day, her husband told her that her son was dead. Afterwards, both Tong Si and Dien Hoanh pressured her to accuse Shen Lang. They promised that if she succeeded, Tong Si would be promoted to town head. Tong Si sobbed bitterly, kowtowing to Zhang Sung and Xuanwu City, begging them to investigate and deliver justice. Dien Hoanh was now visibly shaking. He dropped to his knees before Zhang Sung, claiming that this was all Shen Lang's doing, that the young man was cruel, cunning, and behind the entire scheme. Still, Shen Lang said nothing, merely looking up at them with wide eyes, as if he was the wronged party. His calm demeanor made him appear even more righteous. Zhang Sung remained cold and expressionless. Then, with a tone like a knife slicing through flesh, he gave the order. "Liu Nam, arrest them." That simple command changed everything. City Lord Liu Nam shouted, "Guards, arrest Dien Hoanh and Tong Si. Bring Tong Si Al with us for questioning." Though everyone knew, Tong Si wouldn't be treated the same. She was a key witness, perhaps even a victim. Just then, the Countess stepped down gracefully, approaching Tong Si. Ignoring the woman's disheveled and dirty appearance, she gently took her hand. "Poor woman, you've suffered enough. Guards, take the boy's body and bury him properly in a quiet, respectful place." Then she turned to Tong Si and added, "You're from the same village as Lang, which makes you one of our people too. Stay here in the Count's manor for a while. You'll be safe here from further harm." Though she wasn't behaving in a strictly legal manner, no one dared oppose her. She was a woman, a mother, and her compassion carried weight. Zhang Sung, understanding the situation, nodded. "Madam speaks wisely," he said. With that, he and Xuanwu City stood up, preparing to leave. As they walked away, Zhang Sung turned back to Liu Nam and said, "Investigate this case thoroughly. Give everyone the justice they deserve." Then, just as they were exiting, Zhang Sung gave Shen Lang a long, meaningful look. Turning to the Count, he remarked, "Your son-in-law, truly a man worth a second look." Overall voice. Opening voice, quiet, tense, as if something is about to happen. Secret discovery voice, shocked, excited, full of surprise. Dialogue voice, sharp, strong, tense, as Shen Lang and Dien Hoanh confront each other. Dealing voice, decisive, scheming, and full of confidence. Change in attitude voice, soft, confused, as Shen Lang realizes the price and the reason. Ending voice, decisive, strong, confident, and ruthless as Shen Lang prepares to plot his revenge. Dien Hoanh, I will lead you to death. After bidding farewell to Zhang Sung and Xuanwu City outside the Count's estate, Shen Lang and City Lord Liu Nam returned to the main hall. Though the City Lord wore a courteous smile to maintain formality, his eyes were cold, filled with thinly veiled contempt. Dien Hoanh, now restrained by two guards, kept glaring at Shen Lang with blazing hatred, as though he wanted to tear him apart. He hadn't expected his meticulously laid plan to collapse so completely. Everything had been prepared, using the trial of Song Song's death to gather senior officials, manipulate the mob outside to scream for Shen Lang's execution, all orchestrated perfectly. Yet the result was a disaster. Shen Lang not only survived, but turned the tables in a devastating counterattack, exposing the entire scheme. Dien Hoanh was consumed by fury. He clenched his teeth and swore that one day he'd flip the situation back. Shen Lang stepped forward with a cold smile. Well, well, gangmaster himself. Why do you look like you've just seen a ghost? You're celebrating too early, Dien Hoanh growled. Not really, Shen Lang said coolly. I just know that while you're alive, this feud will never end, so I'll have to send you off personally to have peace of mind. Dien Hoang sneered. You want me dead? Huh, dream on.
I'll be out of jail in 3 days, untouched. The city lord's prison is like my second home. He even declared that he would abandon all his gambling operations, handing them over to others, and devote himself entirely to one cause: to ruin Shen Lang's life, slowly and painfully. Shen Lang looked at him like a dead man walking. He didn't voice it, but in his mind he thought, "You've made it onto my death list. You really think I'll let you live?" His smile turned icy. "Dien Hoanh, your death is near." Dien Hoanh burst into mocking laughter. "Who do you think you are? A worthless live-in son-in-law thinks he can kill me?" Even City Lord Luo Nam looked at Shen Lang with disdain. In his eyes, Shen Lang was a weakling who didn't deserve a second glance. Luo Nam coldly stated, "Let's see who gets summoned to the City Lord's office tomorrow." Then, he turned and left in haste, not wanting to linger and lose face in front of the officials who had just departed. Outside the Count's estate, over 1,000 citizens hadn't dispersed. They continued to chant, "Execute Shen Lang, a life for a life." Anwo Qi and Zhang Sung climbed into their carriages without a word. But as Dien Hoanh tried to follow, Zhang Sung suddenly turned and spoke coldly. "Who permitted you to be present at tonight's hearing?" Dien Hoanh instantly dropped to his knees and admitted his fault. He knew full well he shouldn't have been involved in a case tied directly to his personal vendetta. But his hatred had overwhelmed him. He had wanted to see Shen Lang executed with his own eyes. Now that the plan had failed, he was desperately trying to salvage the situation. "There's still a chance," Dien Hoang pleaded. "We can bring back that woman, Tong, and force her to change her testimony. If she retracts her statement, Shen Lang can still be convicted." He was confident that if Zhang Sung gave the order, Count Mo Kui would have no choice but to comply. Neither Anwo Qi nor Zhang Sung responded. Anwo Qi simply stepped into his carriage. Zhang Sung stared at Dien Hoang, his eyes sharp as knives. "You still think this is just a game of strategy?" he asked coldly. Dien Hoang's expression froze. Zhang Sung continued, his voice low and threatening. "Shen Lang doesn't just want to win this case. He wants you dead." The words hit Dien Hoang like a thunderbolt. Yes, Shen Lang did want him dead, but how? With just Tong's testimony? Could that alone bring him down? No, he thought. I still have the city lord. I have allies. But then Zhang Song said the chilling words, "Go kill Den Tap Thumb. If you're lucky, you might still survive." With that, he shut the carriage door and ordered the coachman to drive straight to Jiangsu, not stopping for anything. At that moment, Luo Nam and Zhang Tan finally realized the gravity of the situation. This wasn't just about murder anymore. Shen Lang had aimed for the roots of their power. Dien Hoang's arrest was only the beginning. If all of his past crimes were dug up, there would be no way to protect him. And Den Tap Thumb, his most trusted lieutenant, knew everything. If he talked, Dien Hoang was finished. "We must kill him! Kill Den Tap Thumb before it's too late!" 3 elite assassin teams were dispatched immediately, quietly exiting the city and racing towards Den Tap Thumb's residence on the outskirts. Inside the Count's estate, Shen Lang urgently ordered his wife, "Wife, get on the horse, now! Do you know martial arts?" Mo Lan calmly nodded. "Yes, I'm quite good." "Are you strong enough to take on elite assassins from all 3 major factions?" Still calm, Mo Lan replied, "Trust me." There was no time to argue. Shen Lang jumped on the horse with her, clinging to her like an octopus. Their party galloped into the night towards the outskirts to protect Den Tap Thumb. On the way, Jin Zhang asked, "Why didn't we go sooner?" Jin Chong replied, "If we went too early, the enemy wouldn't have revealed themselves. We needed them to act first to capture solid evidence and strike back."
Shen Lang nodded in agreement. You're clever this time, Jinchong, outshining Jinzhong for once. In the outskirts of Xuanwu City, Den Tap Thumb's residence, a dozen black-clad assassins surrounded the estate. Two figures led the operation, Den Dai and Den Bei, adopted sons of Dien Hoanh and his most trusted killers. As they approached the door, Den Dai said coldly, "Tap Thumb, don't blame our father figure. You know too much. If you live, he dies." Den Bei stepped forward, continuing, "Don't blame Oz not showing mercy. The father figure has ordered and there is no way around it. If you're going to die, then it's better to do it quickly and painlessly." They both raised their swords, ready to strike.